So before we actually start designing anything, I think it's really important to understand the basics of WordPress and really what it is and how it's beneficial. So I'm going to go through a quick presentation, kind of explain the differences between that and site builders, and hopefully you'll kind of have some really good groundwork for our next couple steps. All right, so bear with me. I'm going to start sharing my screen. All right, perfect. So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna understand why we're using WordPress. Oh, wait, where'd it go? So first, what is WordPress? In simplest terms, WordPress is a content management system. And a CMS is a software that organizes your files for you. Also helps you to create, edit, and publish the content as well. So instead of having to go into like an FTP server and upload everything yourself, WordPress really just does that for you. So here's a glimpse of what WordPress looks in the back. So the back end is what you see as a designer. That's how you go in and edit your site. Whereas the front end of your site is what users see when they log on to www.whatever site. So we'll go through the back end in the later modules, but just to kind of give you a preview as to what you'll see. Now, more than 30% of the web is powered by WordPress. So first and foremost, that's crazy. There's probably billions of sites out there now, and WordPress powers 30% of them. That is such a valuable skill to say that you know how to deal with 30% of websites. So who exactly uses WordPress? Millions of people use WordPress, from everyday bloggers to small businesses and large businesses alike, and even Fortune 500 companies such as Disney and Microsoft. They use it. I know Disney, my favorite thing is Star Wars, so their Star Wars site is actually powered by WordPress. So some of you might be wondering, okay, why would I want to use WordPress versus a site builder such as Squarespace, or even WordPress has their own version of a site builder, also known as WordPress.com. And there's a couple big differences between them. So something that I feel like site builders win is the ease of use for beginners. However, you'll see in the course, we'll kind of knock that obstacle down. But WordPress can also be easy. It just has a slight learning curve. Templates and themes. So this is kind of how you control the look of your site. Now WordPress has a bunch of themes available to everyday people, whether on WordPress directly or through third-party sellers. Whereas with places such as Squarespace, Wix, the themes and templates you have to work with are very limited. Plugins. Now, we'll learn more about plugins at a later module, but WordPress has an extensive amount of plugins because WordPress is created by and sustained by millions of developers in a community that says, hey, we really need this one feature. What can we do to make our site have this one feature? And people work together to build that functionality. Whereas with site builders, there's only that specific development team that they have, and they're in control of the plugins. So it's very hard to kind of keep up with the amount of plugins that WordPress has. Customization. Like I said, large and small companies alike use WordPress. You can hire developers to make a custom built site, or you can even use like a theme builder such as Elementor or Divi, which we'll talk more about that as well later, but there's tons of customization out there, whereas again, site builders are very limited. SEO, that's a big one. That's how people can find your site organically by searching. So for instance, my goal is that when somebody looks up South Florida Marketer, I want them to find my page. So I have a lot of plugins that I can use to make that possible, whereas again, it's a little limited on the site builder site. E-commerce. There's a bunch of e-commerce platforms you can use on WordPress. One of the most popular ones being WooCommerce, which is a plugin. But there's a lot of customization you can have with that plugin. Whereas with, again, site builders, kind of limited to however they display their shops. Support. Like I said before, since WordPress is powered by hundreds, millions of people to create features and functionality, there's a large community that you can tap on for assistance. Also, some plugins offer assistance as well. Whereas with, again, it's limited for site builders and website speed. You can control your website speed with WordPress through the use of plugins and kind of just understanding how to upload content, whereas with Squarespace, you're very limited because it's based on their coding. So there are a few reasons why you need a personal site. So hold on, let me just move my camera real quick because it's blocking. Okay, sorry about that. So one of the big things about having your own personal site is you get to establish your own identity outside of social media. You have your own content. A lot of influencers, they don't really have a platform to fall back on aside from social media. So if Instagram ever faced kind of a MySpace-like demise, then they'd be screwed. Whereas if you use social media and kind of all these other outlet or medium channels to direct traffic to your website, you have a source that you own that people can go to that won't go away unless you decide to do away with your site. Another benefit is that you can display the knowledge in your niche through blog posts and other content. And then the third way is that you make it easier for customers and employers to find you. One of my favorite benefits is, especially as I was looking for a job postgraduate, is that, hey, people are going to Google me anyways. So if I manage to get my website to rank for my own name, then I control the narrative that employers and business partners have when they look at me. So they can see my blog and say, oh, this girl has some expertise in this field, so she knows a lot. This is somebody that I want to hire. She's very passionate about what she does. And that's kind of what you want to embody when you have a site. And before starting your site, I think that there's 6 crucial questions you should ask yourself. Otherwise, you're kind of going to be designing with no end in sight. So first, what is the purpose of my site or my blog? Who is my ideal audience? So am I trying to appeal to an employer? Am I trying to appeal to a customer? So with that, you have 2 different types of messaging and content development depending on what you choose. What kind of topics will I create content on? Am I creating if I'm creating a site to kind of gain employment, then I'm going to want to talk about or write content about the job I aspire to have. So my thing was technology marketing. So I wrote about technology marketing a lot. What problems does your audience face? There is a problem there's usually common problems in your field. And so you might want to tackle that as part of your content to kind of just show that you understand and acknowledge what obstacles your customer or your audience faces, and this is what you know about that and how to remedy it. I think that's a good solid point. It kind of just shows that you think large. What will my site be named? We'll talk about domains and hosting a little bit later, but it's very important that you choose a domain name that is very easy to remember and that is easy to type. And how will I drive traffic to my site? As I said before, you could use social media. Some people even have things like Twitch, or they write like articles on Forbes, and there's a lot of ways you can drive traffic to your site, but you really want to document that and map out that experience. So this kind of wraps up lesson 1, and let's keep planning out our site. I think that's the next step. We answered a couple preliminary questions. We have an idea of the goal of our site. And then now the next step is to really plan how we want our site to look and function. So let's keep going.